I'm Jeff Ratcliffe for the Pro Football Focus Fantasy Slant, and here's your IDP update. The Indianapolis Colts got free agency started a little bit early this year prior to the March 11th kickoff, signing inside linebacker D'Qwell Jackson to a 4-year, $22 million contract that contains $11 million in guaranteed money. Now, Jackson had been cut on the 26th of February from the Browns and shopped himself around to numerous teams with 4 potential landing spots. Now, obviously, Indianapolis is that end destination for him, and for the Colts, this move makes a lot of sense. One of the glaring holes in their defense from 2013 was at that inside linebacker position opposite Jarrell Freeman. They tried Pat Angerer, they tried Kelvin Shepherd, they tried Cavell Connor, and none of these players really seemed to get the job done. So Jackson is an upgrade, but let's face it, he's on the wrong side of 30. At age 31, he could be in the twilight of his career. Now, that being said, he has topped 100 total tackles in each of the last 3 seasons. Last season, he put up 141 total tackles, but as any IDP owner of Jackson will tell you, most of them were not solo tackles. In fact, only 75 of his 141 total tackles were solo. Now, this was due in large part to him playing in a very assist-tackle-friendly venue in Cleveland. Their home stats crew tend to give out a lot more assisted tackles than perhaps somewhere like Kansas City, for example. Now, also, though, I must say that at Pro Football Focus, we independently chart tackles here, and our independent team actually have Jackson with 106 total tackles for last season, which is significantly less than the 141 he was officially credited with by the NFL. Now, Jackson also really has struggled against the run over the last 2 seasons, so we could be looking at a decline, and maybe the Colts aren't exactly getting what they hope they're getting in Jackson, a former elite level player. But let's face it, we want to know how this affects our fantasy value. So what does this do for Jackson in terms of his fantasy value? Last season, he was the number 31 linebacker in Pro Football Focus IDP scoring. I don't expect that to change very much. That's an LB3, and really at the very best, I would give Jackson an LB2 with a very low ceiling. But I really wouldn't overspend for Jackson on draft day. Don't fall into the trap of being enticed by a former big name. Jackson is really in that LB2, LB3 tier. But there is a ripple effect here. Jackson's presence could also impact Jarrell Freeman's fantasy value. Now, Freeman last year was the number 8 linebacker in our scoring system, so that is an LB1, and he's been awesome over the last 2 years. He has a very high tackle floor, he has big play upside, so it's exactly what you want out of your IDPs. But see, one of the things that we'll see this year that we haven't seen over really the last 2 seasons with Freeman is we are going to have somebody playing every down opposite him. Last year, those 3, Connor, Angerer, Shepherd, they didn't play every down, but we can fully expect Jackson will be out there every down. So this is going to eat into the tackle production from Freeman, and we are going to see a decline in his fantasy value. I wouldn't put Freeman much higher than an LB2 as well, and I'm not going to overspend on either one of these players. Don't read too much into last season's numbers without looking at the situation with Freeman. So, that'll do it for us for this version of the IDP update. So for Pro Football Focus, I am Jeff Ratcliffe.